We're rolling. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Over 50, starting over. I'm Barry Edwards with special guest Geza Kashai. Did I say it right, Geza?
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's so hard to say that. Haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah, Geza and I just, sorry, Merle is just had some things come up, so he couldn't make it this morning. And Geza and I just went out last night and had a fantastic time. It was a perfect way to end a beautiful September and bring in, for me, Sober October today. It is October 1st, everybody. But so we ended it at, I don't remember the name of the place, but where we had those flights of bourbon.
I think it's actually called the Whiskey Bar.
Yeah, on Coventry, really nice place, and had some fancy bourbons and rye. It was really fun, really good, and that owner is very knowledgeable. As are you. You're a connoisseur. You say you got like 68 bottles of bourbon and rye, something like that?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Give or take one or two. That's no big deal. Now you just got back from Chicago. We did a guest spot with you about 6 months ago, right before you left for Chicago to work on this movie as art director, correct?
Actually, I was in Chicago.
Well, didn't I say that?
It was right at the beginning. Yeah.
Oh, you were in Chicago when we did the guest thing. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. All right. So were you art director for this movie?
I was.
Okay. It's a Netflix movie, correct?
Amazon.
Amazon Prime. Got you. And can you tell us anything about it? Or is that hush hush at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it was called Light Years and starring J.K. Simmons and Sissy Spacek.
Good actors. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm thinking it's probably going to come out November or January, February.
Nice.
My guess.
That's pretty aggressive, I think, because doing post, I mean, after you're done shooting and everything, for a lot of people, I think their jobs just begin, with editing.
But they started doing posts as soon as we shot episode 1 and 2. So that was
this is a mini series. I thought it was
it's a eight series.
Okay, gotcha.
8 episodes, rather.
Yeah, we talked quite a bit about that. And again, was your title art director on this or set director?
Yeah.
Art director.
Art director.
So you oversaw a lot of people and had to do it's a lot of organization. Sounds to me from when you describe things, a lot of paperwork.
No, not on my end. On my end, it's really a lot of supervision and direction and a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually sit I didn't sit in every meeting because I had another art director with me. He was actually the supervising art director. But we go to all these meetings to figure out how we're shooting something and what the action should be that the actors have to do and things like that. So yeah, I got to partake in a lot of the decision making and how things were going to happen.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, that's exciting. I really like to hear about that stuff. I have a big interest in that side of things. It's from the creative standpoint. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about here this morning is starting your own business. Because Merle asked me about that last week, is he's going through another job fluctuation and he's given a lot of thought to possibly doing consultant work, and he's in sales for healthcare industries, healthcare/tech, and it's a great industry to be in and he's really good at it. So he's thinking about doing some consulting work, but he's never done that before. And a lot of people are doing that now, and especially post-COVID, a lot of people were forced to work remotely for the first time, working from home, and were shocked at how easy it was. Because a lot of people think they got to go to the office to get things done. And a lot of people do, to be honest. Some people
don't. That's what I was going to say is I think a lot of people can't work from home.
There's a lot of people.
Not work-wise, but they're just mentally.
They get distracted. Home means one thing, work means another. You know what? I'm like that with the gym. There's been periods in my life where I've tried to work out from home, and it's like, I like to go to the gym because I get in there and my mission is to get out. That's what it's for. And then I leave it behind and don't think about it until I come back. And I think a lot of people are like that with work. I love working from home. Lisa loves working from home. I love having Lisa here. Now, as a result of COVID, like many people, they found, wow, she's very productive from home. As a matter of fact, with her, and you're the same way, is your problem is, as is Lisa's, is actually pulling away from the work because you'll get involved. And that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah. When I started my business, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to golf all the time. And the first year I golfed twice. The second year I golfed once. The third year I golfed once. And then I haven't golfed in almost 10 years now.
My God. Now, see, I bought this fancy set of golf clubs and all that because I thought taking up golfing would be a great thing to do for business. And it is. A lot of deals get made on a golf course. Most of us know that. I just can't get into it. And here's the big conflict is I'm a huge cyclist, and those are conflicting because if you're out on a golf course, that means you could be cycling. And that's just what I love. And I was terrible at golfing. Like that thing would either, whether you call it a hook or a slice or whatever, just have no patience for that. But now, when did you go into business for yourself? And what did you do prior to that?
So my background is in architecture. I started working at architecture firms in like 96, 97 while I was still in school. And I graduated, worked 2 years at one firm, and I worked 7.5 years at another, and left that in 2007 or 2008. I can't remember which. And the reason I left was because about my second year at that job, I got approached by the largest roofing manufacturer in the world. They have offices in Europe, Canada, the US. They're based out of Cleveland. And they knew somebody, and they said, oh, they needed somebody to draw. And the one guy suggested maybe talk to me. So I was busy at work. So I actually had them come to my office. We met in a conference room for me to do side work for them. And that was in 2002.
Okay. Did you say that this is a roofing contractor?
Roofing company, manufacturer. So they make standing seam metal roofs. They do roofs for projects like airports, army bases, colleges.
Okay. I was thinking residential, and I'm like, what on earth? Okay, so
big corporation.
And is this you doing AutoCAD?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happened was they started having me do drawings. Maybe it was 5 hours, 10 hours a week. Eventually, I left in 2007 because I was taking sick days so I could do the work that I had for these guys, because they were paying me better than I was getting paid, which was pretty good then too.
Yeah.
And so that started 2002 for them. Started my business in 2007 with them as my only consistent client. And so when I started that, the first 2 months that I was in business, I was like, I was looking at renting office space somewhere and hiring other people, because I had so much work coming in that it was crazy. I mean, the amount of money that I was making in those first 2 months was just nuts. And then the recession hit. So that was 2008, because that's when the recession hit.
Yeah. How did that go for you?
So I remember working the next 2 or 3 months without making a single dollar.
Wow.
But I was going out every Friday, drinking, meeting my friend at the bar and going to the movies. And to this day, it was the best. Even though I didn't make much money, but it was great.
Now that's funny, because a lot of people like you that are very, very diligent. I feel like I'm very balanced with my work life and personal life, but and Lisa, when Lisa's in between things, she is very, very anxious. And it's, we want to tell ourselves, we've talked about this, her and I a lot, and Merle and I too, is you should enjoy that time. You know it's not going to last forever, but you have this extended forced vacation, and yet you can't enjoy it. Well, you did.
I did. And that lasted really about 2 years. My business was, I was making okay money, but I wasn't killing myself. But after that was, so 2 years later, so 2010, I have not had much break since 2010 with my business.
Wow. Well,
I started taking vacations 2, 3, 4 months at a time. So I had to just force myself, but I would still take a laptop for a bit of it. Yeah. And then I realized it's not worth killing yourself. The reason I left my other job was because it wasn't fulfilling, and I was working on things I didn't really care about anymore.
And that's why I went out on my own too. Now I did that. I was 27 years old. I think this was 1995. But I was working for, I got out of college and started my career in a graphic design agency and worked my way up to the creative director in 5 years. And at that point, I was like a manager. I was just managing people and doing paperwork and listening to the boss, and it was not fulfilling anymore whatsoever. And I had a dream one night that I went out on my own, and when I woke up, I was like, wow, that was easy. It wasn't like I was always planning on doing that at some point, but I had so much anxiety and trepidation about it, thinking it was a big deal. And it wasn't that. And it was shortly after that dream, like maybe it was even the next day, the owner started getting on my ass again, and I put in my 2 weeks right there on the spot, and never looked back. But that's not to say that it's not a lot of ups and downs. Owning your own business, it comes with a lot of challenges, but I thought, if I'm going to be doing all this paperwork anyway, I might, because I hate paperwork. I mean, it's the part of my job that I can't stand. But I thought, if I'm going to be doing this anyway, I might as well go out on my own, and then I'll get the kind of clients that I want and do the kind of jobs that I want. And I have no regrets about that, because I really like what I do, is being a graphic designer and online marketing. Now, did you have any, see, what was really great, what you said about how you went on your own, is like ideal. Like you were doing it as a side hustle for so long that you slid into it, rather than made a hard stop and then a go.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have enough work to account for a 40-hour week when I quit my job, but it, like I said, it didn't last long at all. It instantly jumped up. I mean, people found out that I started my business and I had work left and right. So my business was really, what I started it for wasn't to do the CAD for other companies. It was doing 3D modeling and animation. At that time, there were very few people in Cleveland, especially, doing high-end animations. So I was able to get other architecture firms to hire me to help them either design projects that they were working on, where not every firm has a designer. Some of them are just people that, there's different schools of architecture. So some design and some produce drawings, and some are experts on bathrooms, and some are experts on parking lots. So I came in as a designer. I've always been fortunate enough to design for anybody. So then I got to work on such a wide variety of projects, and I had minored in computer science and graphic design at college as well. So then I threw graphic design into the mix, which I had been able to do for clients when I worked for the companies as well. So I had 3D modeling, animation, CAD, graphic design. I don't even know if there was something else that I used to do. Websites for
right,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the reason I liked it is because I don't want to do one thing over and over.
I hear you.
Around that same time, I think I applied for a job at Progressive. They were pretty early on here, and they wanted to hire me as their forget what they call it, but it was doing the website for inside the corporation, not
intranet, right?
Intranet, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were going to pay me a lot of money, but that's all I was going to do. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to sit there working on websites for the rest of my life.
That'd be a long week, man. That would be a long week. That'd be, you couldn't wait to get to Friday and then drink yourself silly to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so
no way to
the
live.
cool thing was that, you know, having this experience, I mean, in the job that I worked on, you know, massive industrial corporations, retail, for Walmart, not the typical Walmarts you see. I worked on stuff that didn't usually get built. They were like 3-4 story stores with parking above, below, things like kind of like Legacy Village and Crocker Park.
Okay, gotcha.
Quite a bit of those with Walmarts attached to them.
Oh.
And then pharmaceutical companies creating their, you know, the grand lobbies of their corporations. So high end stuff, you know, jobs that were hundreds of millions of dollars.
Jeez.
And then I started working for this roofing company and got to work on clients that I could finally start telling people. Apple II building, the big round one.
Yeah.
I got to help design the roof for that, along with, you know, most people.
That building that's a giant circle.
Yep. The giant circle.
Wow. Wow. That's a cool building.
And Microsoft's latest building, which was around the same time, 2, 3, 4 years ago. I've worked on Air Force bases, colleges. I mean, that, you know, as big as you can think, I've gotten to work on a lot of these.
Now, I know that you told us this on your guest podcast there about 6 months ago, but how did this all lead into the movie art direction stuff?
So that same firm that I left, I became friends with the guy there, and he was there after I left, and then they went through another, not really a recession, but that firm couldn't keep a client to save their lives after a while. They didn't really ever have repeat clients. So
wow.
They were top heavy. So they managers would just charge hours to jobs that was for work that nobody was doing.
Wow.
So they ended up losing a lot of clients. They even lost Walmart. I mean, they were one of 5 architects that Walmart hired nationwide, and they lost that account too. So anyways, this guy ended up getting laid off, and his sister happened to work for Disney in California, doing marketing research for their video group. And she told him, well, maybe you should work in set design because you have to draw for that. So you have to know architecture. And so he said, okay, I'll start pursuing that. And at that time, Cleveland was starting to do some small movies, and Captain America and stuff like that happened to be coming right around the same time. So he offered to work for free driving trucks. Then he worked as a PA secretary kind of thing for like $150 a day or something. And this is a guy that was a registered architect, but he had it with architecture. So then the first job he got as a set designer, he goes, hey, they need more set designers. Do you want to try it? And I was able to fit it in between my other clients, and went to an office every day and worked on the movie, Bruce Willis and Ben Kingsley movie that never got finished. Everybody pulled their money out. Big fight between the producers. But anyways, so I came in as a set designer, making really good money then, and just progressed from there.
Very cool. Now, what I want to get at here is the main point. The theme of the show is being able to go out and take, as you did, take your experience. Hopefully you went down some kind of a path where you enjoy at least an aspect of your career. Most of us do. And there's a lot of times we find ourselves, like I did, you get to a point where you're doing a whole lot of stuff that you don't like, but you went into it because you liked something. I loved the graphic design aspect, and I was doing less, and I was becoming a manager. And your case, you had a problem with that one company, but the roofing company gave you a lot of opportunity, which led to another opportunity with the movie industry, and I like the variety that you've always done in your life. That keeps things fun. My point is that a lot of us, especially when we've had the discovery that we can also work remotely, that's a positive COVID has given us. A lot of us are now finally going, you know what? I can do this consulting thing on my own, and I'll be doing something that I very much enjoy doing rather than this grind. So as Merle is thinking about, he's asking, well, what do I do? It's daunting when you don't know where to get started. And I just created a post over this week to help us out with that. And I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to go over it at a high level, just give the framework of it, because I'll give the link in the show notes, and there's a lot of resources for you here. And it's called 8 Steps to Starting Your Own Online Business. Now, I reference the Small Business Association, SBA.gov website, as well as a couple of leading career coaches. And I took and I mashed these things together, stripped it down to its essentials, and I did everything in a chronological order so that it'll be very useful for you guys. And if you want to just check it out, if you're only thinking about going out on your own, or if you've already put some wheels in motion, check in with this post and see where you're at. So in a nutshell, there are, like I said, 8 steps. And number 1 is the most important one, and that is to get your business plan together. And you could do it in 20 minutes unless you need outside funding. What I mean by that is there's the lean business model, and this is as opposed to a traditional business plan. A traditional business plan will take 2 to 3 weeks. It's a big to-do to put together, but you need to put together a business plan if you're looking for outside funding, whether it's a loan, capital venture capital, whatever it may be. Now, with this lean business model canvas, I have as I said, a link to this. I did a post on this probably about a year ago, maybe a little more than that. And it will link you to this video where I walk you through the canvas itself. And when you do the lean business model, which, by the way, this got started in Silicon Valley with all those tech startups that were popping up so quickly, they developed this method because they needed something more agile than creating a traditional business plan. So you figure out the top 3 problems that you're going to solve, and you give alternatives to them. I'm trying to go fast here because I got a lot of stuff to go over. And like I said, you guys can reference it in the link right here. Then you offer your solutions. You also write down your metrics as to how you're going to measure your success. And very important, you then are going to come up with your unique value proposition. Usually that's plural. I'll go over that a little bit later as well, right here in a few minutes. But these are things that differentiate yourself that other people cannot easily reproduce. And that has to do with your own personal experience and things like that in education. Unfair advantage. This is similar to the unique value proposition. It's something that you supply that that most other people cannot reproduce. Channels like social media channels. How are you going to reach your customers? You're going to put billboards out there, flyers, obviously your website, use Google AdWords, whatever it's going to be, and define your customer segments and target audience. But really, after you just do this, and do it as quickly as possible, because you can modify this as much as you want, then come down to your cost structure, all of the different deficits that you're going to have, the different expenditures that you're going to have on a weekly and monthly basis, and then versus your revenue streams. How much do you plan on making? And hopefully you have more than one revenue stream. I used to teach for like 18 years. That was another side hustle that I had. Now I'm renting out a property. There, different ways. It's best to not have all your eggs in one basket. So even if I use the example in this video of a fitness coach, and she has to decide that not only is she going to do one-on-one classes, but she's going to do group classes at night at a local gym. So that's those kind of examples. So that is step one. And you can get your own interactive lean canvas in PDF form, an interactive PDF right here. Just apply for it right there, and it'll get downloaded right to your email box. And two, choose your business name. And Geza, what is your business name?
It's actually called Graphics Design Incorporated.
That's right. I knew that.
With 2 X's.
That's right. That's right. Now, what's nice about that, and back when you put that together, social media was only just barely becoming a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because today you got to give some thought to that. You want a name that not only do you get the website of your choice, the URL, yes, .coms are still the golden goose, but there's a .io is pretty big for tech stuff these days. Something like my company would be. I went with .net. I thought .net would be really big. It didn't catch on as big as I thought it would way back then. But you got to figure out what your name is, and then it would be very beneficial if your social media handles were in sync with that. So, and I have a link to an article on choosing your name, how to help you, and a free tool there as well, which will automatically, you plug in the name that you are thinking about, and it'll tell you what URLs are available and what social media handles are available. It's really, really handy. So it's really important. Give a lot of thought to that. And I got a lot of do's and don'ts in that link to that article.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
A definite don't pick something that's like personal to you, like the name of your pet, don't call it like Muffy's Roofing or something, because people aren't looking. If you're trying to make money, you're not trying to be kitschy. So
yeah,
you have to think professional, think above your own level if you have to.
Think big. Think big. Yeah, I think that's great advice. Next is, this is where a lot of people get stymied. Choose your business structure. What I mean by that is sole proprietor versus LLC, nonprofit, S Corp, partnership, all those different things. And I have a lot of information in this link here, and registering your business, I have a link for that at sba.gov. There's a particular link on that. But I'm just going to mention that most entrepreneurs are sole proprietors. I have registered and number 2 is LLC, a limited liability company. And the reason that's a close second is because it's the easiest to set up outside of sole proprietor. And it gives you a limited amount of protection against lawsuits or bankruptcy. I have my LLC set up, and I've never used it because I just maintain the sole proprietorship because I don't want to do 2 sets of taxes. That's the only reason. I'm lazy. Are you?
Lazy. Holy smokes.
It is. So then you need to get your federal and state tax IDs so that you get the honor of paying federal and state income tax. And you have to do that. Keep it legal. Open up your business checking account. Super easy.
Well, real quick, back to that one.
Go ahead.
The main thing that helps with is if you're buying any kind of product to sell to customers as part of your business, you get tax-free. You get to buy it tax-free from them. So, for example, I do a lot of printing, and I set up with vendors. I don't pay tax on the printing. I pay the tax to the government out of my account. Not
you collect it from
I collect
your
it
customers,
yeah,
and then you forward it to the government. Correct.
That's a good point. Like, if you're starting I know we were talking about online businesses, but for example, if you're if you're selling electronics, like all of a sudden you want to sell computers or whatever, you're not gonna pay taxes on all the computers you're buying. You're gonna get the tax when you sell it to somebody.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. So basically, once again, you're just collecting it for the government. Yeah. Is all you're doing. Yeah, turning it right over. Let's see, open your business checking account. And by the way, that also, I don't have in here, I don't think, is the importance of tax deductions. And boy, you can deduct a lot in your taxes. It's like, I told my neighbor the other day who I needed his help with his big giant pickup truck. Those things are so expensive, by the way. I need to take my snow thrower to get some work done. So I need his help. And I'm like, hey, I'll give you $20. It's right down the road. And I told him, if you just registered this thing, if you open up a sole proprietorship, which is really easy, and you did this one job for me for $20, you could claim that truck as a tax deduction for your business. Huge. That's huge. Taking clients out to your dinners and drinks and stuff like that, that's tax deductible. There lots of travel. If you go on vacation and do a job interview, you could make that vacation a tax deduction. So there's an awful lot that can be done. That's hugely important. All right. Number 6.
American way now.
It truly, well, yeah. And
right off everything.
Well, and we did a special, we talked about a few weeks back, Merle and I, about it really has come forward about how these billionaires are not paying anything in taxes, but they're incentivized to. Basically, they just always have to borrow against themselves and keep themselves in a form of debt, and they're paying no taxes. And that's how you develop a Jeff Bezos. He's got to go out and buy a movie studio, or otherwise he's going to pay millions of dollars in taxes.
Yeah.
I don't like that system one bit, but okay. Number 6, consider getting an accountant to and set up your financials. And this, I just briefly say, dude, even for me, the guy that hates doing paperwork more than anything in the world, I found setting up QuickBooks to be a breeze. I thought it was super easy, and it made my life so much easier doing that paperwork, doing taxes. And by the way, I definitely have an accountant. Even though you can easily, do you do your own taxes on TurboTax?
No.
I don't either, because I want somebody to sign off on it.
Yeah, and I'm an S corp, so
okay.
I have major tax things to work out all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do S corp?
Well, it really comes out to the way that I can spend money out of my business and pay myself as an employee.
Right.
Instead of, it just works out really well money-wise.
I see. Okay.
If you're making a decent amount of money, it totally makes sense.
Okay, cool. I got a link to the SBA.gov stuff to give you the particulars on all of that. Okay, so number 7, funding your business. Okay, like I said, you could do the lean business model to get your footing, but if you need to get out, so if you're doing self-funding, your own savings and or credit cards, you can just stick with that lean business model and move forward. But if you need investors or loans, venture capital, then you will need to do a complete business plan. You can find templates online. I have a link to a template in here. And I also want to mention that in Ohio, there's some really good organizations such as Jumpstart and Team Neo that can really help you out, send you to the direction of venture capitalists and a certain amount of loans, specific loans to your industry. Then there's also SBDC, Small Business Development Centers, which are available all across the country. And I produce a podcast for Biz Chat Ohio for our local SBDC, which you can check that out as well. They have a lot of resources for you. So there's a lot of options for the small business person. We are always trying to incentivize people in these regards. Until you get your footing, then you're going to get taxed to death. But that's okay. And number 8, finally, set up your website and social media channels. This is extremely important to set up your online headquarters. This is your website, your social media channels you can think of as the roadways that lead to your website. And you might want to set up some billboards out there. Those are your social media posts. And so your website houses all of your important branding. This is, years ago, we would develop a corporate brochure, and that would be developing your entire brand. Today, it is your website. That consists of all kinds of things like your logo, a slogan, if you need one. By the way, when you're naming your business, like edwardscom.net or Edwards Communications, requires a slogan. Otherwise, you might think that I'm selling telephone equipment or something like that. So how descriptive your name is it or not is important. I normally develop slogans along with logos when I'm helping develop a brand for a business. You got mission and vision statements that help tell your purpose, niche your services. I was thinking about this, Geza, when you're telling me about all the different things that you're always doing and branching out. And I was thinking, man, you do just the opposite of what I tell all my customers. Because I tell all my customers.
Yeah, I am the opposite. I can tell you right now, my website has not been updated since 2013.
and website and internet years are like dog years. Times that by 7. That's a long time.
I have 0 social media for my business. Wow. And even funnier than that, I had to renew somebody's domain through my account the other day and went to my website and realized it wasn't even up. I think it hasn't been up for maybe 2 years. And I called the company and I said, hey, what happened to my website? And something was pointing to the wrong DNS server or something that I didn't do it, but I never went on my website anymore. So I think for 2 years, I haven't had a website up.
Wow. Well,
it's up, it's back up, but it's the one from 2013. But I have it. I don't chase new clients. People come to me. I don't have to go to them.
Nice. Wow, that must be nice. I like when that happens when I don't do enough talks anymore, speaking engagements. I know I certainly use COVID as an excuse to not do that because I don't enjoy doing them, but I get clients like that. That's when they, I put myself out there and then they come back. It's like fishing. Okay, other things that go into your website, value propositions. We talked about that in the lean business model, and that is how you absolutely positively differentiate yourself from your competitors. And it comes down to very personal things. It takes a lot of soul searching, but when you get it right, it sings. It just feels right in your heart, and it makes all of the rest of your marketing efforts very easy because now you really know where you're coming from and what you're talking about. Okay, so if you get all this stuff right, then you don't have to spend a ton of money on Facebook and Google ads. Okay, so along with all of this your SEO is involved in it as well. You definitely have to open up a Google account and register with Google My Business and shore up all of these things. The content on your website is the most important thing. You're talking to 2 graphic designers here, and normally you would expect somebody like me to say how pretty your website is the most important thing. It's not. It's more important that you have strong functionality, that you have a very solid structure, you don't have Google penalties, and that you have original content. Don't ever copy and paste content. You'll get penalized out the wazoo. So very original content that is very grammatically correct and consistent so that search engines can find it, and that it speaks to the kind of client that you want. Because if you think you want every possible client out there, you're basically going to put yourself in price wars with the extensive amount of competition. It's better to niche down, be very particular, get the kind of clients that you want to get out of bed in the morning and work for, and do that particular kind of work. All right. So if you have any questions about this or want some help with it, you can contact me. Got your links right here. I develop lead generating online presences for companies. I also have DIY tutorials for you if you want to try that route. I have related links here for you as well. Resources, 6 steps to building your own logo, how to automate your social media, design your own brand, and online marketing essentials for the solo entrepreneur. Okay, that was a whole lot of talking. I'm a little tired. And basically, if you don't have anything to add to that, Gaze, Merle and I always do just a lot of BSing on current events and stuff like that.
I actually have a couple things that,
please go ahead.
I do like to see people starting their own businesses, and there's so much money to be made out there. I mean, I have a relative that's actually contacting me about doing quilts. They make quilts, and they're starting to realize, holy crap, people will spend money on these quilts and people want them.
You know what else they'll spend a lot of money on is tutorials on how to design your own quilts.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a very nice compliment to the business, but go ahead, please tell me more about this.
So, I mean, you could take something that, you know, she has a regular job. I don't know. I think she just works in an office doing something, but she's realizing, you know, there's money to be made at doing anything. I know people that just go out and buy a laser engraver, a laser cutter, and all of a sudden, next thing they know, they're making signage for people and, you know, all kinds of things. So if you have any inkling of talent in anything, you know,
it's
you can sell it. Yeah, you could sell it. Especially
today with the internet, like you're talking about this engraving. So now you're doing personalized stuff. It's kind of crafty, and you don't have to, you're not bound to just local anymore. Etsy.
No, Etsy is it. I don't really go on it, but everybody
I don't either
that I ever talk to is like, yeah, go on Etsy. They're making tons of money from it.
Yeah. So if you're doing something that's craft oriented, like you would say this laser engraving would be, you could sell that all day long on Etsy. Now you got the whole world as your audience rather than your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great way to go.
The other main thing I wanted to point out is definitely if you're starting a business because you're like, okay, I'm sick of not making money and there's potential to make more.
Yeah.
You know, if you say you're doing, oh gosh, I don't even know what is. Let's stick with laser engraving. Say you're doing signage for people's kids' graduations or something, you know, engraving a copy of their diploma or something that simple. But you want corporate work, don't just show that you do that. The main thing you should create a bunch of fake things showing that I've done this for a company. And, you know, you don't need to name a company. You don't have to have any clients' names on anything. Show that you did something for a major corporation and a bunch of things. Like
that's very true. Like design wise, I was trying to get a big job of doing this brand, and they wanted a real retro look. I did a couple of fake projects to make retro looking posters.
Fake projects. There's nothing wrong with it because they don't care what the project was and what the end result was. They wanted to see what it looked like and
capability.
Did it look as good as what they want their stuff to look like.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of doing a little work on your own there. And
I lot of did that during the recession. I took a lot of time and I took some house designs that I did and animated them to the top level at that time software would allow. Spent probably 4 times as many hours animating this house that was already built. It wasn't for the client. I was just doing it so I had something fantastic to show
for your portfolio. Yeah, absolutely. And don't be afraid to do some pro bono work up front.
You'll need to.
Yeah. A lot of times. Cases. Yeah. In fact, you know, Geza and I talked extensively about the graphic design aspect in the movie industry and TV industry. And I would love to break into that because that would be really fun to me, but it's a very union driven business. And for me to break into it, I need to find some small independent films where basically I'm probably going to have to do it pro bono, just to get started, get my foot in the door. And I need to spend some time looking once again locally for those kind of projects. They should be coming back up. Hey, you know what, Geza? I don't remember if I said this to you last night or not when we were checking out that new spot that was terrible, that first spot that we went to.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to put the name of it in here, but there's a new restaurant that opened up in
there's a place that's bad. Don't go to it.
Right, correct. I don't remember if I said this to you, but I had noticed this week, I ride my bike to the gym almost every weekday morning, weather permitting. And all of a sudden this week, there's 10 times the traffic out there in the morning.
Yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah. So apparently the unemployment ran out is what it must be it, right?
Yeah, I believe beginning September, I think.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden the traffic shows it. So I don't know about when it comes to national economics. I got to tell you, it's very mysterious to me. It's all manipulating, and I don't know. On the one hand, I can say all the stimulus checks and all the unemployment, whatever, it kept us from going into another recession thus far. There's that. But on the other hand, boy, I know a whole lot of people that sat around doing nothing for a long time, making big money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, in other events, did you hear that Britney Spears got her freedom?
Sadly, I did. I don't know why I hear these things, but yeah.
Yeah. So the conservativeship, I think that's what it was called. So I was wondering if you knew anything about, like, I saw the article, I read the headline, and, I always see these headlines about it. I couldn't bring myself to read the article. So I don't know any details about that.
Yeah. I think all it was she was deemed unfit to care for herself.
Well, she seemed like she went through a crazy time for quite some time, shaving her head and all that. Remember that? And I mean, she looked like she was, but that's that childhood actor thing when it sickens me when your parents pimp you out like that. I mean, that messes you up.
It's not just your parents, it's everybody around you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're just a marketing object at that.
That's why I chose not to be a child star.
Yeah, is that it? Well, good for you. And in other not directly related, but is this frivolous or is it not? The headline yesterday: Dog the bounty hunter. He finds a fresh campsite on an island during his search for Gabby Petito's missing fiance in Florida. Now, do you know the story about this Gabby Petito that got murdered?
Once again, I've heard things, and it's sad that I have, because really, how many people go missing? And this is the thing that everybody's going to concentrate on.
This is what I was wondering about for the last 2 or 3 weeks that I've been hearing all about this. And it's, I've thought for years back when I used to actually watch network TV. I watch everything off my laptop now. And, but when I used to watch network TV, Dateline, it was a cool show that would, keep you riveted for an hour. But boy, it was never lost on me that it was just attractive white people, and it would be exactly this kind of a story. And I was wondering forever, why is this? Hey, it's horrible that this Gabby Petito went missing.
Sure.
But why is it a big, big story? And it's kind of that same thing. Attractive girl. Pardon?
People are bored.
Well, they are, but
there's no Trump tweeting to follow.
You're right about that.
So it's like they've turned the news into gossip.
And that's very much my point. So as horrible as this is, it is about the attractive white girl again. And now we got Dog the bounty hunter into this thing. It's a total tabloid thing. And did you happen to see? I just saw this week the documentary on Amanda Knox. Now, do you know who that is? I did not know who that was either, but this was a big story. I didn't know about it.
It was. I don't remember. Is she the one that killed her roommate or baby?
That's the problem.
Which good looking white girl was it?
There you go. Okay, so she was in Italy and living in Italy, like doing some kind of student thing or something like that. She had a roommate from Italy, from England, shared a place with, and the roommate got murdered, and Amanda Knox and I think her boyfriend were accused of the crime and sentenced to prison. Well, they didn't even get their trial heard for like a year and a half. She was in prison for a year and a half before they even had their trial. But this went so tabloid in Italy, it became a trial by what's the public opinion. Trial by public opinion. It became completely sensationalized, and they started pumping out news about slut shaming her and things like that, and calling her Foxy Noxy. And that was her nickname in the tabloids for all this time. She ends up spending, in spite of no physical evidence whatsoever. In fact, DNA was all over the place from this other guy who eventually got convicted after 4 years later. So she spent 4 years in an Italian prison before it got overturned in the Supreme Court. Something like that. Horrible story, but it reminds me of this Gabby Petito thing where it just lives and breathes in the headlines of the tabloid news. It's kind of sickening, to tell you the truth.
It is. I don't watch the news, so
yeah. I don't watch
on my phone. Unfortunately, is where I see it.
Man, getting your news today is an art form of itself, because if you watch on mainstream media, oh my God, I don't care if it's CNN's the very worst, but MSNBC's close second, and Fox is sensationalized on the other side. And I go online, I go on news, Google News, and read the headlines. You got to kind of cross-pollinate them and draw lines through the middle and figure it out for yourself as to what's going on. It's everything's so sensationalized today. And so much of it is a smokescreen, a diversion. Like the Afghanistan pullout, I said this to Merle a few times. I think it is an absolute illustration of the military-industrial complex at work. These generals would tell every president, "Oh, it's going great. You know, we're on top of the Taliban, and everything is going smooth. We just need to keep this going for a little while longer." And that, so 20 years later, finally Biden wants to make a big show and pull us out, because he's like, "What is it, man? 20 years you've been saying that, we're good to go here, so we're pulling out." Then they're going, "Oh, no," and they're totally exposed that this has all been a fraud. The entire thing has been a farce. And I've been saying, I think these generals like General Milley, who's at the heart of this thing, I think they should be investigated for, I'd say, treason, court-martial. They're talking about asking for his resignation. Are you kidding me? I think it's treasonous. At the very least, he should be court-martialed. This is the heart of the military-industrial complex, and they're pulling trillions of dollars out of the taxpayers and sending it overseas to drug lords and into the military-industrial complex. And they want to, pull this into a forever war, as it has been. So everything else is a smokescreen out there.
Yeah,
in the news. Oh, let's see, what else do we got? Oh yeah, did you hear about Biden?
Here's a big one. I actually have emails right now to vote on a strike authorization for the film industry.
For now, the writers are always doing that.
Yep. They did it once, and I thought they did that. We lost a lot of good shows maybe 10 years ago.
I remember it was a big deal.
So now it's IATSE, which is the theater and stagehands union. 100,000 members, maybe a little more. So this one's covering the camera departments, art department, which I'm in. A couple others. I can't remember everything at the moment, but you're about to find out if we're going to strike, and I think we are. And it's because the producers are making people work too hard, too long.
Well, you talked about
rest. So
what was your typical?
It's going to be the news. It's going to cover up all the other news for now.
Wow.
Because everybody wants their TV, and this is stuff against
you're right.
Netflix, Hulu, stuff like that. Amazon a bit too.
How many hours were you typically putting in on that last series?
I'm paid to work 60 hours. I get to work sometimes 50. Most people do 60 quite often. Sometimes you're doing more.
God, that's a rough week. That's a long week.
It's fast.
Yeah, and the unions, it seems to me, are very tight in the film industry. So, yeah,
They
you
are,
guys
and
strike, and it's going to be a
really-
big deal.
They're necessary,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, this strike is kind of necessary. I have people. I've been posting stuff on Facebook and stuff. I made one post, and I have friends that are like, I hate actors. I don't like listening to their politics, and I have no use for movies. I don't go to movies, and I'm like, that's not what this is about. You're not supporting. This isn't the actors that are striking.
Right.
The actors happen to be the stars of the shows, but that's not. They're not the ones that make these films and shows.
Right.
And so people need to. Well, people made up their minds about things well before they know facts. Just like,
Right.
Who's innocent? Who did OJ kill him? Somebody? Did he not? They make up their own minds. It doesn't matter what the facts are anymore. So.
Well, let's put it this way.
People look into things.
When you see the opening credits for a movie or TV show, they're a lot shorter than the closing credits at the end. Look at all the people that are behind the scenes to make that TV or movie happen. It's unbelievable.
It's about, by the time a regular show is done, you're looking at close to 1,000 people.
That's amazing to me. Oh my God, that takes so much money and planning. And I mean, that is a huge business in and of itself. Oh, this is a little political, but did you hear about Biden's to pay for one of his crazy $1 trillion bill tax plans? He wants to implement this snooping plan where banks would have to report every transaction over $600 to the IRS. Do you hear about that?
I think I saw something on it. But
yeah, Nebraska already has become the first state to say that they would not comply with that. Yeah. Talk about an invasion of privacy.
Yeah,
oh
it's nuts.
God.
It's nuts.
The oversight there, it's unbelievable. Oh God, and then here's one that hits way too close to home. Geza, a couple months ago, Merle and I were talking COVID related stuff, and I mean, if you talk
That's
about if you talk about alternative medicines whatsoever, we did that, and we said some specifics that I can't say anymore. We have been threatened to be deplatformed off of YouTube as a result. The censorship going on in social media, and seems to me especially YouTube, is I shouldn't say especially YouTube, it's Google. YouTube is owned by Google. But yeah, also a while back ago, I was trying to figure out what QAnon was about, because I'd be hearing about it. I'd be like, what? I'd Google that, and I couldn't find anything on it. So I thought it was like just a myth or something. And well, Google censors all the information about it. What good does that do anybody? People need to get educated on things. It's kind of like, do you censor the KKK? No, I want to know where they're at, Yeah. Well, there's speaking of QAnon, and I'm going all over the place now, but there's a terrific special on HBO Max called Q Into the Fire, maybe into the something, and it's really good. It's about a 6-episode special, and it is crazy. It's crazy what a conspiracy theory kind of thing it is. And just briefly, it was started by these creepy people from America that moved to the Philippines and started a website that was real non-censorship, 100%. And then, you get child porn on there and all these murderous videos and all kinds of creepy stuff. But that's where somebody anonymously started posting things, just calling himself Q, and said he was a Trump insider. And so he would post these vague things. It would be like, oh, something big's coming this week. Well, something big comes every week. So, but the big conspiracy theorists, they got big. There was these people called Q-tubers on YouTube. They had YouTube channels that were all about Q this week said this, and they would start putting all these elaborate things together. And man, it got a huge following. Those are the people called QAnon. And they were just the ultimate Trump supporters, the super far right that are so far right, they're going in circles, and they're kind of nuts and stuff. And So a large contingent of them were involved in the January 6th rush on the Capitol. And so anyways, it was all, the documentary was terrific. And the guy that put this together did an absolutely terrific job of sleuthing it out. And it's really just this kid that was, like I said, just putting out just enough of these. When he would kind of sort of hit on something of his vague predictions of saying what's going to happen, it was enough to get everybody, oh my God. There was a point where they actually thought Trump himself was Q and he was going to announce it at a rally. And they all went to the rally. Oh, he's going to announce it. It's crazy. Great documentary, though.
I'm going to watch it for sure.
You definitely should. You'll be riveted. But boy, those creepy people. People.
People are, yeah.
The fringe. And that's the thing about the internet is social media, whatever, you only hear from the fringe. So you think everybody's nuts, but most people are in the middle somewhere. But that's boring. So we don't listen to those people.
Yeah. That's why the TV exists. Nobody wants to watch. If you want boring, watch your family.
There you go. Yeah, go sit on that park bench and watch the world go by.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was getting at is YouTube bans all anti-vax content in sweeping bid to suppress misinformation. So we got to watch what we say. And when you say anti-vax, you could start talking about some of the medicines out there that are proven to work against COVID. And the censorship that's going on is really, really disturbing.
This censorship's existed. It's just finally people are realizing it. But
that's
it's not a surprise to me. It's happened in every country around the world for thousands of years.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody thinks the US is any different.
No, very true. And I've given so much thought to this over months because the censorship has been kind of a thorn in our side. We have to watch what we talk about and so on. But freedom of speech is so important, and it's so easy to lose it. It's so hard to get. We're the only ones that really have it. Canada doesn't even really have it. England doesn't really have it either. And to express different ideas, well, let's face it, the Wuhan lab thing, well, right now I'm flagged by saying that, but
you're done.
Yeah, that was being censored and considered conspiracy theory a few months ago. Now it's pretty much considered it's 90%. That's how this happened. Just the information goes in that way. So, but to find the truth, I've always said this is, to find the truth, you have to see the extremes on both sides. You got to be able to draw a line down the middle and sift through all of that stuff.
Because you can't just listen to one side and say, nope, that's the side I'm picking and that's the side that's right.
And that's what happens these days. Yeah. And sometimes the other side's right. Sometimes those extremists are right. Sometimes those conspiracy theories turn out to be true.
The problem is that half the people, even if they believe it's not true and they get proven wrong, they don't want to admit defeat and they still won't change their mind.
No, that's very true. And that's
where we're at right now.
That's exactly where we're at. That's what people are developing their bubbles. And I know on the left, this happens an awful lot in the form of this person, because I'm very middle of the road and very middle. I like to see both sides and figure out where the truth is. And that's a slippery slope. But I love Jordan Peterson, very celebrated psychologist. And he gets hugely popular on YouTube and has his own podcast. And he considers himself a classical liberal. And basically I do too. And but people on the far left dismiss him as a radical right-wing nut. And so that way they don't have to listen to him.
Right.
And they're starting to do the same thing with Joe Rogan, who's as liberal as anybody out there. But he'll have right-wing people on. And so, well, we can't listen to that now. We got to shut that down. And it's a shame. You have to keep your mind open and you have to listen to all sides and be able to flesh out the truth. It's really hard to do. Well, with that, we're going to start winding this podcast up. Geza, what you got going on for the weekend? It's looking beautiful thus far.
So my big passion is riding motorcycles.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's most people that know me know no. I mean, I went a year without a car just recently until I got hired on another movie, and I was like, crap, I should buy a car. I just ride. So I also do like bicycle races where they have a motorcycle escorts. Like you see it on TV, the photographers are on the back of the bike or the judges. So I actually am doing the Ironman event tomorrow.
No kidding.
In Indiana. So I'll be on my motorcycle riding somebody around, watching a race.
Oh, no kidding. That's cool.
And it's great because these are a lot of times Olympic trials and Ironman competitions. So the stuff you see on TV.
So you're riding a photographer around is what you're doing.
Or a judge. I
okay.
don't know until it happens.
Gotcha. And is this an all day or all weekend event?
No, I'll head to Indiana tonight and do it from like 6 to, I think we're scheduled 6 to 5, probably 6 to 1. And then I'll come home Saturday night. And then Wednesday, I'm heading out to Missouri on my motorcycle.
Nice. Anything in particular? I mean, why Missouri?
It's a falling leaf rally. So these motorcycle rallies are like a couple hundred people.
Oh, okay.
At best, 200, something like that, maybe.
So you got a Harley, right?
Oh God, no.
No. Oh, you say, oh God, no. Now my normal.
No, I actually ride. I don't just show people and shine and polish chrome. So.
Okay,
I shouldn't say that. I have a few Harley friends that do ride their bikes.
Yeah.
But most of them, I see them leave the house and 15 minutes later they're back.
No,
shining it up, cleaning it.
Yeah.
So no, my bike is.
What do you got?
The one that I ride the most is a BMW 1200 GS. So it's an on-road, off-road bike. It's big. It's 1200 cc. It's a big bike, but we ride the piss out of these things.
Now that's nice. Now my normal co-host here, Merle, he's got the Harley and the big loud Harley, and I hate loud bikes because and he tried telling me too when Lisa and I visited them in California. He's like, well, it's a safety thing. It's it's loud. They try, and I said Harley has even distanced themselves from that argument because it's proven it's not true.
Well, you never hear a Harley coming towards you because the noise is out the back. So by the time you hear it, these factors negated.
It's an ego thing.
Oh, it totally is.
And
I like the bikes. I've always liked Harleys. It's the culture that in the last 40 years, the culture's changed so much that it's not.
It's watered down. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many people ride motorcycles, but you do the friendly, wave, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe not like that, but and Harley riders will watch. If you're not on a Harley, I'd say 80% of them will not wave to a motorcyclist.
That's ridiculous. Okay, now his brother Scott, a good friend of mine as well, he's got a BMW bike. I don't know what kind. I don't know that much about bikes. I've seen the pictures of it. It is beautiful. That is a beautiful bike, and it's got to be so well made, I'm sure.
Oh, it's incredible. So comfortable. Like
I bet.
I wish I would have known these when I started riding. Well, I was 8. I was 11 when I got my first motorcycle. But I wish I would have known about them when I was 20. Not that I could have afforded one then.
True. Oh, yeah. I bet. Are they more expensive than Harleys?
They're the same.
Oh, yeah. Both are pretty expensive for bikes.
Yeah, my bike's like $25,000 base. And then you add about $5,000-$6,000 worth of off-road and safety stuff on it.
Yeah. And you got your costume?
I'm decked out. I could fall off that bike and nothing will happen to me.
No kidding.
I don't get squished, but I've crashed before in Colombia and slid across the road. And the only thing I hurt were my knees because that's what got knocked up. But I had no scratches. In fact, I didn't even have to replace my gear because it was, I didn't hit my head or helmet or anything. So.
Now,
the secret is you dress for the slide, not for the ride. But if you're a Harley guy, you must not have any friends that ever crashed and seen what happens to a human hand in a slide. So
I
raced. I know what happens.
Yeah.
I've seen it. So
On that note, yeah, let's wind this up. Geza, I really appreciate you coming in on a pinch like this. It's been actually very advantageous as you're self-employed as well for the subject matter of today. Really appreciate it. Some good insight. Hey, everybody, I got great links for you, of course, to the article that I shared with you and the many links within that. If you sign up for at over50startingover.com, you'll get this right to your email box as it happens. But also, don't forget to sign up for the podcast on your podcast app on your smartphone. Just type in Over 50 Starting Over. With that, everybody, we'll see you next week. Love you guys. Bye. All right, I am going to pause.